My name is Marcus Red. I'm 39 years old, and I have the kind of intense green eyes that see patterns where others see chaos. Dark brown hair that's perpetually disheveled from running my hands through it during late-night coding sessions, and the lean build of someone who forgets to eat when he's solving complex problems. My face is angular with sharp features, a defined jawline, prominent cheekbones, and the focused expression of a man who has spent 14 years turning impossible ideas into working software. People say I have the look of someone who never stops thinking, and they're absolutely right. 14 years. That's how long I spent building NextX Solutions, from a struggling software startup into the premier cybersecurity firm on the West Coast. While other CTOs chased the latest tech trends and managed offshore development teams, I did something different. I built systems that actually worked. Real solutions that protected companies from threats they didn't even know existed yet. Jessica Shun sat across from me in that glass-walled conference room overlooking downtown Seattle, her manicured fingers tapping impatiently on her MacBook Pro. She was 29, the new Chief Innovation Officer, hired 4 months ago after our acquisition by Titan Systems. Her smile was cold and calculated, and her eyes held the dismissive arrogance of someone who had never written a line of production code but thought she understood technology because she had an MBA from Stanford. "Marcus," she said, sliding a termination letter across the sleek table, "Titan Systems is standardizing all technology operations across our subsidiaries. We're consolidating the development teams under centralized management. Your position is being eliminated." I stared at the letter, then back at her. 14 years of building cybersecurity solutions that had protected hundreds of companies from data breaches, ransomware attacks, and corporate espionage. 14 years of proving that security wasn't just about installing firewalls. It was about understanding how attackers think, how systems fail, how to stay 3 steps ahead of threats that didn't exist yet. "Our security platforms protect over 500 client companies," I said calmly. "0 successful breaches in the last 3 years. Client retention rate of 98%. "And we appreciate your contributions," Jessica replied, checking her phone. "But Titan has existing security solutions that can be scaled across all subsidiaries. We don't need redundant systems or individualistic approaches to development." Individualistic approaches? I knew what that meant. It meant they wanted cookie-cutter solutions, standardized products that could be mass-produced and mass-marketed. It meant they had no understanding of what made our security systems actually secure: the custom algorithms I had developed, the behavioral analysis engines I had built, the threat detection patterns I had discovered through years of studying actual attack vectors. "The transition will be handled by our corporate technology team," Jessica continued. "Clean out your office by Friday." I stood up, straightened my black polo shirt, and looked her directly in the eyes. "Thanks for the opportunity. 14 years was a good run." Jessica's smile widened. She thought she was looking at a defeated programmer, ready to shuffle off to some corporate IT job and fade into obscurity. What she didn't know was that 2 months ago, when I first heard whispers about the Titan acquisition, I had quietly begun implementing certain ... safeguards. Every critical security algorithm I had developed, every custom threat detection system, every piece of proprietary code that made our platform superior, all of it was protected by licensing agreements and intellectual property structures I had carefully established. It was all perfectly legal. The code was my creation, developed during my own time using my own resources and methodologies. The algorithms that detected zero-day exploits, the machine learning models that identified behavioral anomalies, the encryption protocols that had never been cracked, those existed in my mind and my personal development environment, not in Titan's corporate repositories. I walked back to my corner office on the 23rd floor, the same office where I had architected the security systems that had saved our clients millions in prevented losses, designed the threat response protocols that had become industry standards, and built the team of developers who understood that cybersecurity was as much art as science. 14 years of security certifications went into a cardboard box. The photo of my late brother Kevin, Killed in Afghanistan while serving as a cybersecurity specialist for the Army, went carefully into my laptop bag. He had taught me that protecting people's data was a sacred trust, not just a business opportunity. My personal development drives stayed exactly where they were, in my home lab. Let them figure out why the code repositories they inherited were missing their most critical components. My encrypted phone buzzed. A message from Alex Rodriguez at Fortress Financial, one of our largest clients. Heard about the Titan acquisition. Are security systems still going to be supported? I typed back, don't worry. I'll make sure everything stays protected. Jessica walked past my office, probably checking to ensure I wasn't copying proprietary files. She had no idea that the most valuable intellectual property, the knowledge of how to build truly secure systems, was walking out the door with her. I had gotten into cybersecurity right after Kevin died. His death had been the result of a security breach. Enemy forces had exploited a vulnerability in the base's network infrastructure. I swore I would build systems so secure that such failures could never happen again. My first major breakthrough came in 2015 during the massive wave of ransomware attacks. While other security companies were playing defense, trying to detect known threats, I developed something revolutionary: predictive threat analysis. Instead of waiting for attacks to happen, my algorithms could identify the behavioral patterns that preceded them. The key was understanding that cybersecurity wasn't just about technology, it was about psychology. Attackers weren't random. They followed patterns, had preferences, made mistakes. By studying thousands of attack vectors, I learned to think like they did, to anticipate their next moves, to build defenses against threats that didn't exist yet. Over the years, I cultivated relationships with clients who understood that real security required custom solutions. Not generic firewalls and antivirus software, but bespoke systems designed specifically for their vulnerabilities, their industry, their unique risk profile. When the SolarWinds hack devastated the cybersecurity industry in 2020, my clients were untouched. Not because they were lucky, but because I had identified and patched the attack vector months before it was exploited. My threat prediction algorithms had flagged the behavioral patterns that preceded the breach. Not generic firewalls and antivirus software, but bespoke systems designed specifically for their vulnerabilities, their industry, their unique risk profile. When the SolarWinds hack devastated the cybersecurity industry in 2020, my clients were untouched. Not because they were lucky, but because I had identified and patched the attack vector months before it was exploited. My threat prediction algorithms had flagged the behavioral patterns that preceded the breach. Jessica Chun arrived 4 months ago with an MBA and ideas about scalable security solutions. She looked at my custom development approach and saw inefficiency, too much personalization, too many bespoke systems, too much focus on individual client needs instead of standardized products. We need to streamline, she told me during our first meeting. Titan has proven security platforms that can be deployed across all client bases. We don't need custom solutions for every individual company. I nodded and kept coding. But I started noticing changes. My access to client security data was being restricted. Development priorities were being set by people who had never analyzed an actual cyber attack. Projects I had been working on for months were being reassigned to Titan's corporate development team. Last week, I overheard Jessica on a call with the Titan CTO. Marcus's approach is outdated. Custom security solutions don't scale. We can achieve the same protection levels with our standardized platforms at half the development cost. That's when I knew my time was up. Not because my systems didn't work, but because they worked too well to be replicated by corporate programmers who had never seen a real cyber attack. I made some quiet preparations, updated some licensing documentation, made sure certain intellectual property protections were properly filed. Jessica thought she was eliminating inefficiency. She had no idea she was about to learn the difference between managing technology and understanding security. Friday afternoon, I loaded my personal equipment into my Tesla and walked out of Next Tech Solutions for the final time. The security guard, David, shook my hand at the entrance. "Heard about the changes, Mr. Reed," he said quietly. "Sorry to see you go. You always made sure our systems were bulletproof." "Thanks, David. Keep an eye on things for me." I drove home to my house in Bellevue and sat in my home lab surrounded by multiple monitors, custom servers, and the development environment where I did my best work. 14 years of innovation reduced to personal backups and encrypted drives. Kevin's photo sat on my desk in his Army uniform. He would have found this situation darkly ironic. 14 years of protecting people, he might have said, and they fire you for doing it too well. But this time I had protected myself too. My secure phone rang. Alex Rodriguez from Fortress Financial. "Marcus, we need to talk. Since the acquisition, we've been getting alerts about potential vulnerabilities in our security systems. Our IT team doesn't understand the threat assessments your systems are generating." "Actually, Alex, I'm starting an independent cybersecurity consulting firm. Specialized threat analysis, custom security solutions. Question for you. Would Fortress be interested in a consulting agreement? Someone who could provide the same level of protection you're used to, but without the corporate bureaucracy?" Alex was quiet for a moment. "Marcus, you built our entire security infrastructure. If you're asking whether we'd rather work with you directly or try to figure out Titan's generic solutions on our own, that's not even a question." I made 15 more calls that evening. Same conversation, same response. By Saturday morning, I had consulting agreements with every major client I had protected over the past decade. Not just to provide security services, to help them transition away from the Titan systems that couldn't provide the level of protection they required. The beautiful thing about cybersecurity relationships is that they're built on trust and results, not corporate contracts. Companies work with security providers who can actually protect them, not just ones who promise they can. What Jessica didn't understand was that those clients had been trusting me, not NextTech Solutions. When I left, their confidence in the company's ability to protect them left with me. I spent the weekend setting up Reed Security Solutions. Business registration, insurance, high-security office space in a building with military-grade network infrastructure. By Sunday evening, I had a functioning cybersecurity firm and a client base that included most of the Fortune 500 companies in the Pacific Northwest. Monday morning, I sent out security transition notices to all my former clients. Professional, courteous, and completely legal notifications that their current security provider might no longer be able to maintain their protection levels and that alternative solutions were available. Then I sat back and waited. Jessica was about to discover that firing the guy who built your security systems was like removing the locks from your doors. Everything becomes vulnerable. Tuesday morning, Jessica Chen walked into her new office expecting a routine day of implementing Titan's standardized security protocols. Instead, she found her assistant holding a stack of urgent emails and looking panicked. "These came in overnight," the assistant said. "Clients reporting security system errors, threat detection failures, system performance issues." Jessica scanned the emails. Fortress Financial was experiencing false positive alerts that were shutting down their trading systems. Pacific Medical Group's patient data protection was throwing continuous error messages. Northwest Manufacturing's industrial control systems were reporting phantom intrusion attempts. She called Titan's corporate IT support first. "This is Jessica Chun at NextTech Solutions. We're experiencing widespread security system issues across multiple clients." "Let me check the logs," the technician said. After a few minutes, "I'm seeing error messages related to missing algorithm modules, undefined security protocols, and authentication failures. It looks like your security systems are trying to access code libraries that don't exist. What does that mean?" "It means whoever built your security systems used custom code that isn't part of our standard installations. Without that code, the systems can't function properly." Jessica felt a chill. She pulled up the security system documentation on her computer, looking for technical specifications, source code, anything that would explain how the systems worked. What she found made her stomach drop. Every critical security algorithm was referenced but not documented. Every threat detection protocol pointed to proprietary modules developed by M. Reed. Every custom security feature that made their system superior to competitors was implemented through code that existed nowhere in the corporate repositories. Her phone rang. Alex Rodriguez from Fortress Financial. Jessica, our security systems are failing. We've had 3 false breach alerts this morning that shut down our entire trading floor. Our IT team says the threat analysis modules are corrupted or missing. We're investigating the issue, Jessica said, trying to keep her voice steady. It may be related to the system integration with Titan's infrastructure. How long until it's fixed? We can't operate with unreliable security systems. I'll get back to you with a timeline. You better. If we can't trust our cybersecurity, we'll have to find another provider. After hanging up, Jessica called the Titan Systems CTO. We have a critical situation. The security systems at Nextech are experiencing widespread failures. What kind of failures? Missing code modules, authentication errors, system crashes. It appears the previous CTO used proprietary algorithms that aren't included in our standard security platforms. Can't you just reverse engineer the code from the working systems? The systems aren't working. That's the problem. By noon, Jessica had received calls from 12 major clients reporting security system failures. Each one was asking the same questions. How long until the systems were fixed? What was the company's backup plan? Should they start looking for alternative security providers? She tried calling Marcus directly, hoping to arrange some kind of emergency consulting agreement. The number went straight to voicemail. You've reached Marcus Reed at Reed Security Solutions. If this is a cybersecurity emergency, press 1 for immediate consultation services. She pressed 1. Reed Security Emergency Hotline. How can we help protect your systems? This is Jessica Chen from Nextech Solutions. I need to speak with Marcus Reed about a security system emergency. Mr. Reed is currently consulting with clients. I can schedule a consultation appointment for next week. Next week? Next week? This is urgent. We're experiencing system-wide security failures. I understand. Emergency security consultation is available at our premium rate of $500 per hour, with a minimum 20-hour engagement. Jessica hung up and stared at her computer screen. The man she had fired 3 days ago was now charging $10,000 minimum to fix the problems created by his absence. By Wednesday morning, the situation was critical. 16 clients had reported security system failures, and 8 had already started evaluating alternative security providers. The regional sales manager was demanding explanations, and 2 major contracts were being put on hold pending security system resolution. Jessica swallowed her pride and called Reed Security Solutions. I'd like to schedule an emergency consultation with Marcus Reed. Certainly. How soon do you need the consultation? Today, if possible. Mr. Reed has an opening at 4 p.m. The rate is $500 per hour. Minimum engagement of 40 hours for system recovery projects. 40 hours? Based on the scope of what you've described, Mr. Reed estimates it will take at least a week to assess and resolve the security. System issues. $20,000. The minimum cost to get Marcus to fix the problems created by firing him was more than a month of his former salary. Wednesday at 4 p.m., Marcus Reed walked into the Nextech Solutions conference room wearing a crisp black shirt and jeans, carrying a laptop bag and an expression of professional detachment. He looked calm, focused, and completely in control, the same conference room where Jessica had terminated his employment exactly 1 week earlier. Jessica, he said, setting up his laptop, I understand you're experiencing some security system issues. The client security platforms are failing, she said, sliding a folder of error reports across the table. Authentication errors, missing modules, system crashes. We need to get them operational immediately. Marcus opened the folder and scanned the reports. These are all related to custom security algorithms that were integrated into the client systems over the past several years. Without those algorithms, the security platforms can't function. Can you restore them? I can rebuild them, yes. But it will require recreating several years of development work. Custom threat detection models, behavioral analysis engines, predictive security protocols. Each client system was specifically tailored to their security requirements. How long will that take? Marcus looked up from the reports. For all 16 affected clients? Probably 6 to 8 months of full-time development work. Jessica felt the room spinning. 6 months? These aren't simple fixes. The security algorithms that made your system superior to competitors took years to develop. Recreating them requires understanding not just the code, but the attack patterns, threat vectors, and security principles behind them. What are alternatives? You could migrate the clients to Titan's standard security platforms. That would take about 2 weeks. And the protection level? Marcus shrugged. Titan's platforms are adequate for basic security needs. Your clients would probably experience a few successful breaches over the next year, but nothing catastrophic. Maybe some data theft, some ransomware attacks, some industrial espionage, standard corporate security risks. Jessica stared at him. You're talking about deliberately allowing our clients to be attacked. I'm talking about the reality of generic security solutions. Real protection requires custom systems built by people who understand how attackers think. Titan's platforms are designed for scalability, not security. What would it cost to rebuild the custom systems? Marcus opened his laptop and pulled up a project estimate. Reed Security Solutions could recreate the security infrastructure for all affected clients. Total project cost would be $2.8 million, delivered over 8 months. Jessica's heart stopped. $2.8 million to rebuild the security systems that Marcus had originally developed as a salaried employee. That seems excessive. Marcus looked at her with the same calm expression he had shown when she fired him. Jessica, a week ago I was a cost center to be eliminated. Today, I'm the only solution to a crisis that threatens your company's entire client base. Market rates reflect the value of specialized expertise. I need to discuss this with Titan management. Of course. But I should mention that several of your clients have already reached out to Reed Security Solutions directly. If they decide to switch providers, the rebuilding cost becomes irrelevant. Jessica felt a chill. Which clients? I can't discuss specific client communications due to confidentiality agreements. But I will say that companies take their cybersecurity very seriously. When their protection fails, they look for alternatives quickly. That evening, Jessica called an emergency meeting with the Titan Systems leadership team. The situation had escalated from a technical problem to a business crisis that threatened the entire acquisition. Thursday morning, Jessica sat in a conference call with Titan's CEO, CTO, and legal team. The mood was grim. Explain to me how we went from a successful acquisition to a $3 million consulting contract in 1 week, the CEO said. Jessica had prepared for this moment. She opened her files and laid out the security system failure reports. It appears that Nextech's former CTO had built their security systems, using proprietary algorithms that weren't included in our standard technology stack. When we terminated his employment, the systems became unstable. And this wasn't identified during the acquisition due diligence. The security systems were functioning normally at the time of acquisition. The issues only became apparent when we tried to integrate them with Titan's infrastructure. The CTO leaned forward. What's our technical assessment of rebuilding these systems internally? Our development team estimates it would take 18 to 24 months and cost approximately $4 million in development resources. And that's assuming we can reverse engineer the algorithms from the failed systems. What about the consulting proposal? Reed Security Solutions can rebuild the systems in 8 months for $2.8 million. But several clients are already considering switching to his company directly. The silence on the call was heavy. Set up a meeting with Ride, the CEO said. Let's see what kind of deal we can work out. Friday afternoon, Marcus Reed walked into the Titan Systems regional office wearing a tailored navy suit and carrying a leather portfolio. He looked professional, confident, and expensive, every inch the successful consultant who held their acquisition in his hands. "Marcus," the CEO said, "thank you for coming. We'd like to discuss a partnership that could benefit both companies." Marcus opened his portfolio. "I've prepared a comprehensive proposal for the security system recovery project, plus some additional opportunities for collaboration." Additional opportunities? Reed Security Solutions could serve as the cybersecurity partner for all Titan subsidiaries. We'd handle custom security development, threat analysis, and breach prevention across your entire corporate portfolio. The CEO studied the proposal. "You're talking about a permanent consulting relationship." "I'm talking about ensuring that Titan Systems has access to the most advanced cybersecurity expertise available. Your acquisition of Nextech was based on their superior security capabilities. Those capabilities don't exist without the right expertise." "What kind of terms are we discussing?" Marcus slid a contract across the table, a 5-year consulting agreement. $500 per hour for security development work, $1,000 per hour for emergency breach response, exclusive cybersecurity partnership with performance guarantees. Jessica quickly calculated the numbers. At those rates, Marcus would earn more in 1 year as a consultant than he had in 5 years as an employee. That's significantly more expensive than having internal security staff. Marcus looked directly at her. "Jessica, internal staff couldn't prevent the security failures you experienced this week. Internal staff can't provide the specialized expertise that made Nextech valuable enough for Titan to acquire. You're not paying for staff. You're paying for capabilities that don't exist anywhere else." The CEO signed the contract within an hour. 6 months later, Reed Security Solutions had grown from a one-man consulting firm to a 25-person cybersecurity powerhouse with clients across 4 industries. The custom security systems Marcus had developed became the foundation for protecting some of the most sensitive corporate data in the country. Jessica Chen lasted another 3 months at Titan Systems before accepting a position with a marketing firm in Los Angeles. The security crisis had been resolved, but her reputation as a technology executive was irreparably damaged. Marcus kept his new company focused on what he did best, building security systems that actually worked. He hired 12 developers, all of them specialists who understood that cybersecurity was about staying ahead of threats, not just responding to them. On a Thursday evening in October, Marcus sat in his new office overlooking Elliott Bay, reviewing the week's threat analysis reports. 15 major attacks prevented, 6 zero-day exploits identified and patched, 43 companies protected from breaches they never knew were coming. His secure phone rang. "The CTO of a major aerospace company." "Marcus, we're expanding into defense contracts." "Interested in developing security systems for classified projects?" "Always interested in protecting important systems." "Send me the security clearance requirements." After he hung up, Marcus looked at Kevin's photo on his desk. His brother would have been proud. Not because Marcus had gotten revenge on the people who fired him, but because he had built something that truly protected people from the kinds of failures that had cost Kevin his life. Sometimes the best response to being undervalued is proving that your value was irreplaceable.